Yesterday was the deadliest day yet in the pandemic. 3,055 people died from COVID-19. That's according to the New York Times. If you look at where yesterday falls on America's major deadly events, check this out. It's number 4 after the Battle of Gettysburg and before the 1906 earthquake or 9/11. Speaking of which, you may have seen this list right here, which has gone viral on Facebook. It lists the top 9 deadliest days in American history. And while it leaves off some other deadly events, it definitely puts the pandemic's human lives lost into perspective. Very sobering reminder. I know we're at the end of this, Erica, or at least we hope to, with the vaccines rolling out, and I get it. A lot of you writing in that you have fatigue, you want to weigh the risk versus the reward, and you want to go out, you want to see your family members during the holiday. But seeing that, I hope it reminds people that we just got to be steadfast because we're almost there.
Yeah, I think it doesn't really put things into perspective.
It does for me.
Well, I think that we are willfully against looking at the perspective in a realistic way. It's one thing to have fatigue. We all have fatigue. We all want to see our loved ones. We all want to do all of these things. But it's something different to just absolutely not acknowledge that the information that we're receiving is real. And that's where we're at. People still don't believe that it's real. I talked about my dad being a funeral director. 2-3 times the cases in a lot of these funeral homes each week. And people called me a liar.
Wow.
People called me a liar. Like, my dad's not getting up, going 3 times to go pick someone else up. Like, those bodies do not exist. So, and we've been dealing with this the entire time, this gaslighting. So when we talk about 9/11 and how we grieved and we came together as a country, and then we look at this and people just want to continue to disseminate false information, that's where we're at.
What do we do with that? You brought that up yesterday. Just headlines, false information. Where do we go from here, especially when we're in the home stretch, Jeff? It will save lives if people actually are diligent.
We have to be honest with ourselves, right? We have to be honest with who we are as a country. I feel like this is a headline in itself, right? It shows like big days in history when all these people died, and it puts coronavirus at the top of that list. We're not being honest with ourselves that 500,000 people die from smoking each year, right? We're not shutting down the country because of smoking. 300,000 people die of obesity in this country each year. Why isn't the country taking that more serious? Why isn't that on the list? Why don't we have better options, not for the impoverished, but for everybody across the board? Why don't we have healthier food? Why could I be gone on a commercial break and go get a pack of cigarettes? We're not having these conversations because people want their personal freedoms. People enjoy these things. People enjoy junk food and things like that. But if we're not going to address that, why are people going to care about COVID when those numbers are even smaller than the things I just mentioned?
Because those aren't imminent threats, Jeff. You're not going to smoke a cigarette today and die in 10 days. You're not going to eat a cheeseburger and die in 2 weeks.
That's not true. Neither is COVID. It's 1% of the population that if you are obese or if you do have a pre-existing condition, you're more threatened. Otherwise, it's just going to run through you. It's 1% of the population. It's very small.
But obesity isn't contagious. You know,
I hear what you're saying, but why aren't we addressing it? Why aren't we addressing it?
Because we have to address what the imminent threat is right here in this moment. And the imminent threat is COVID-19.
Listen, I'm with you, but I'm saying address all of it. Address all of it. That's what I'm saying. I get what you're saying, Erica.
No,
it's not a virus. Obesity is not a disease. Smoking is an addiction. You could say it's somewhat of a disease, but we don't shut down our economy because of these deaths. I'm talking about just deaths on the number. We don't shut down our economy because people are dying from smoking. We don't shut down our economy because people are dying from obesity. Nobody cares. But we shut down our economy for 9 months because 1% of our population is dying?
I think people care. That's why we don't have smoking sections in restaurants anymore.
But we're not banning cigarettes.
Tori, jump in here and put a button on this.
Yeah.
Real quick, I agree that it's not contagious, and also it's so much more preventable, right? Like, if you wear a mask, University of Washington just came out with a study. If we all wore masks, we could save 130,000 lives. That's an imminent thing we can do today that would help save so many lives. So I think the fact that I could pass this on to someone and that I could save someone's life by doing something so little is why it needs to be our #1 priority. It is a pandemic, and I agree with you on obesity, but that is not as imminent as I think COVID.
You're right, and Erica makes a great point, you guys, but I'm trying to do just a counterpoint with the numbers of why we care so much about this as a country.
I agree, I hear you.
I'm speaking to our government now, not the people
I'm glad you brought
for
up
their
our
individual
government.
choices. I'm talking about the government, because people are making money off of tobacco, right?
Right.
People are making money off of that. People are making money off of Coca-Cola and Pepsi and all those sugary drinks. People are making money off that. There's no money to be made unless we come out with a vaccine for this. I'm sorry I'm getting into like conspiracy theories and a little deep, but no one's having these conversations, so I thought
I'm glad you did, because believe me, a lot of people on our social media is echoing your sentiment, Jeff. So, you know what? I just pray and hope that in 6 months from now, we can all look back at this and there won't be an astronomical amount of people that have lost their lives in these next couple months, and that's what I fear, because we are this close, you guys.